Welcome to an episode of a series we have titled Wellness During COVID. And I'm your host, Lonnie Ridgeway, and I represent VOA Alaska as a Coalition Director. The goal of this series, Wellness During COVID, is to prevent adverse mental health impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, including substance misuse and social isolation, by facilitating community connection and applying some healthy habits and strategies. Throughout these messages, you will hear from trusted champions in our community in the behavioral health field so we can glean from their knowledge and expertise. And so today we are focusing on physical health and the importance of taking care of your body. And today I have a guest with me. His name is Christopher Bryant. Christopher Bryant.
Hello.
Who are you? Start there.
Well, hello. Hi, Lonnie. And thanks for having me. My name is Christopher Bryant, as Lonnie said. I am a health and wellness consultant and a personal trainer. I help busy professionals, entrepreneurs, lose weight, become stronger, and lead a better life so that they can serve their families and their workplaces at a higher level. I also train young athletes, players, particularly basketball players, to become more athletic, to become stronger, bigger, quicker, faster, so that they can be at a level playing field at the high school or middle school level. And then also, the other thing I do, I have many hats. I consult for health organizations, oil companies, Alaska's businesses, basically, to improve the health and wellness of their workplace and their workforce.
How'd you get into that?
So it started out probably with my work, before I went into full-time like entrepreneurship and taking this show on the road.
There you go.
I worked for a company called South Central Foundation. They're a large healthcare nonprofit. And I guess through all of that, I worked there for 10 years, and I had a lot of experiences working with folks with chronic disease. I had a lot of experience teaching classes, seeing, anybody from the morbidly obese to paranoid schizophrenia to all types of, different health challenges that, that plague the Alaska Native community, which is primarily who they serve. Yeah,
that's important work. I will actually brag on Chris a little bit. I don't know if you can see him, but he is a physical specimen. Like you can tell he works out, stays healthy, takes care of his body. But also he is a really good athlete. Division I athlete. He played at Drake University. No lies, no lies, no lie. Yeah. You like that?
Flex.
And then he came and played at UA, where he was a part of a team, and he led them, or helped lead them, to a Final Four appearance, where he was a big offensive contributor. And so I got the chance to sit up close and watch him through that process, and it was super, super cool. So he knows what he's talking about. So in this conversation, I think like one of the things I think I could speak for everybody when I say that health and being active is on everybody's mind at some point, mm-hmm. right? And I think everybody knows that there's a connection between being healthy mentally and their physical activity, and being like just their body feeling right in their physical activity. And so right now during this COVID time, there's a lot of social isolation, mm-hmm. and there's a lot of opportunities to give in to not doing anything, just staying at home, especially when we have the cold and the darkness coming up in this Anchorage time.
Sure.
But can you speak to somebody like why is it important to stay active, like physically active? Right? Like, can you make an argument? Like, why is it important for that?
Sure. Yeah, totally. I think that staying active is super important, especially during these COVID times, because, having not being able to have access to a gym, not being able to move your body, does things physiologically, physically, but also, what we're talking about today is mental wellness and mental health. Physical exercise has many health benefits physically, but also mentally. It gets you out of your head and into your body. And so one of the beauties of having an exercise routine or being able to move is, just super, super important. I could ask me a follow-up question.
Yeah, follow-up question?
Yeah.
What?
Give me a beat.
No, so you're saying that, like, you said that it's important for you to stay in your body and to be active, right?
Yeah, because I think not being able to, like, one, interact with your coworkers in person, not being able to, like, go into a gym or go having like a specific place, you're kind of confined to either to, a lot of people are like confined to their desk or their laptop if they're working from home. And so what happens is, days compound over time, days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and you're pretty much sedentary. You're not moving as much, and then you're staring at a screen, and then if you're not looking at your laptop, if you're not working, you're probably looking at your phone. If you're not, and then that compounds too. So from a mental health argument, I guess, you're looking at, if you're on social media, you're seeing, especially during an election year. I wasn't gonna drop that.
Election year?
Yeah.
What?
I wasn't gonna drop that, but I mean, there's all of these different external stressors that are just kind of being thrown at you, in the form of social media or, when you're sitting at your desk. So having access to physical exercise gets you out of that state and into a more present state where you can, one, de-stress, decompress, and get some blood flowing through your body, and ultimately get some endorphins going, increase those dopamine and those norepinephrine, all of those mental health benefits.
Have you done or read any studies? What happens to, because right now, like you said, there's a lot of people that are just like on their social media all the time.
Sure.
And they're looking at like the results of the election and trying to figure all that out. And it's just constant stress after stress after stress.
Sure.
What happens to your mental if you're not engaging in physical activity and just allowing that stress to build up? Like, to somebody who doesn't know what's happening behind the scenes, can you give any insight to that?
I don't think I could speak to the science of it, but anecdotally, if I'm checking my phone or if I'm checking my phone and I see something that's not going well, there's either there'd be like the opposite of a high. It would be kind of like a low. There's something's telling my brain, hey, that's not good. And if there's something if that compounds over time, or if there's lots of messaging that's going on, on social, or if there's like bad news from my work because, COVID's causing challenges in the company's bottom line. All of that stuff is creating the spiral of negativity, which can, lead to depression. Mm-hmm. Negative thoughts turn into negative feelings turn into negative actions.
Yeah.
And then those actions can lead to, coping, right? Coping with, it can be, people are going to look to find a way to alleviate that pain somehow.
Right.
And so, the quick fix, in that mind would, in that mindset, if you're in like a negative headspace, could be, turn into substances or eating, or unhealthy eating. Excuse me. Like, I guess another one would be, substances, unhealthy eating, sitting and zoning out, watching Netflix.
Especially, I don't do any of that.
I don't do any of that either, but yeah, I mean, there's just like a lot of, it's just like really easy to fall into those spirals if you're not aware.
Yeah. How easy is it, or how much time, let me ask you this, for people who are not working out, not being active at all, and they found themselves where weeks or months have gone by where they're not really doing much, how much time do they need to like spend to get back into it? Like, is it something that they need to do? Like, you need to do this 10 minutes a day, you need to do 15 minutes a day. What would you recommend if I go to you and I say, hey, listen, I need to get back into this. How much time do I need to spend? What can I need to do? What's something that I can do at my house?
Sure.
Where I'm safe? Well, yeah. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is that you get started. And so if, we've kind of been in this work from home, don't go in the office kind of mode since April, right? So it's about 8 months. If you haven't moved your body in 8 months, I wouldn't recommend starting out with a full hour of.
Let's go sprints. Let's do some sprints.
Go do some sprints. Yeah, go back into thinking that you can go back into like your college running or I would recommend starting out 10 to 20 minutes. You can either break it up. You could break it up, a little bit in the morning, mixed with like some stretching or some yoga or something in the evening. And then you do that for a couple weeks, and possibly, 2 weeks later, you can gradually increase to 20 to 30 minutes from there. And eventually you want to work up to an hour plus. So that's like further down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, starting out, totally recommend, 10 to 20 minutes, get the body moving, a little bit of strength training, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of mindfulness practices. And
mindfulness practices.
Sure.
Wait, what's that?
So, so we're talking meditation, we're talking mental wellness. Mindfulness practices is just any way that you can get yourself not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but just being able to be in the present moment. If you're thinking outside of the present moment, that's usually kind of a course for anxiety. If it becomes too much if you're thinking too much into the future, or if you're dwelling too much in the past, especially if they're both like negative mindsets. So mindfulness is just being aware. So like sitting here talking to you, hearing the sound of my voice, watching you're wearing black. This is me like being in the present moment. Where if, you were asking me questions and I was thinking about, this election or whatever.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is just being aware, being in the present moment. And that has a lot of health benefits as well.
Do you have mindfulness strategies that you do every day that you incorporate in your life? Put you on the spot here.
Yeah. When I'm performing my best, it's usually when I do 10 minutes of like just meditation work where I just sit and then breathe, for 10 minutes and just kind of not do anything. It kind of just helps center me and, helps wind me down and kind of get me out of like that wind up mode, kind of like that fight or flight mode.
Yeah. I've always... meditation, like just the word always just kind of freaks me out because I'm like, what does it actually mean? But even like professional athletes spend a lot of money on having sports psychologists just to walk them through meditation. And there's a huge like correlation between meditation and your activity, like how well you are able to perform. Like there's a big thing of being able to like think about doing something and actually doing it, right? Have you experienced that at all? Like, can you speak to that?
Sure thing. I think of a basketball example. You and I were both teammates at UAA, but there's always times where you're probably in a crunch situation where, like there's a game on the line and you have to sink 2 free throws, which terrifies me thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
But being able to get present, basically. So coaches teach us to have your routine in place, like a free throw routine. The purpose of having like that type of routine is to get you out of your head and into your body. So, my routine for when I had to shoot free throws was 3 dribbles, bend knees, shoot. The 3 dribbles takes me immediately out of, oh shoot, I have to make this shot or else we're going to lose. It puts me right into the present moment.
Yeah.
Same concept with health and wellness and everyday wellness. It totally carries over.
How so?
So like, say you have the pressure of a deadline.
Yeah.
Right. You can do 10 minutes of breathing. Just like the free throws, 10 minutes of breathing is going to be like your mechanism to get you out of your head and into your body. And so you breath work. Just taking a deep breath in. You can do it with me.
Yeah.
Deep breath in. Full breath out. And then you're just going to listen to the sound of your breath as you inhale.
Am I supposed to close my eyes? I feel like I'm supposed to close my eyes.
You can. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
it just kind of helps you zone in. It just helps you get present. If like sometimes if you're looking around, it can kind of distract you. Yeah. So yeah, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath. Maybe just noticing the sound of the silence, maybe the sound of my voice.
It's a beautiful voice, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, and then doing something like that, going into your next thing that you have to do, can do wonders for one, what you're about to perform, and then two, I don't know, how do you feel right now after doing that?
I feel good.
Yeah,
I feel great.
Yeah.
No, I do. I know, honestly, like I think about, I hear, like I read a book or I'll hear somebody that I respect talk about like meditation practices. And I always think like, I need to incorporate that somehow in my day. And even when I do like Zoom meetings and stuff like that, like I try to take a couple seconds to like breathe. And I think I was explaining to you before, like we have this, on my teams, some of the Zoom meetings that we do, we have like a picture that we'll kind of like zone in on, which is acts as our like vacation spot. And it might be like the most beautiful beach I can Google in Hawaii. But I just know I need to practice more meditation habits.
Well, if the word meditation freaks you out, you can just call it mindfulness. And so there's a book called High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard is his name. He's like this high performance kind of guru guy. He consults for all of the big top companies and stuff. He coaches their CEOs and stuff. But one of the tools that he has his clients use he calls it release tension, set intention. And he did it because he kind of noticed that when he goes into like his next life transition, so like say you came like just a second ago you came from a meeting and then now you're in here. So what he would tell you to do if you're coming from a meeting is first you would release tension. So you would sit here first and you'd go through like that breathing that we just did.
Right.
And so you'd like close your eyes, you'd imagine tension just releasing from your body and out with your breath. And it takes like, you do like 10 of those. And then once you feel like you're in that present state, then you set an intention of like how you want your next outcome to be for in your case, it would be like this podcast. Like,
right.
So like set an intention for how you want this interview to go basically.
Yeah.
And then you would do the same thing once you leave here and you go upstairs and talk to Richard.
Right.
Set an intention for like how you want to go into that transition. Do you want to be like angry, pissed off, or like wound up?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be calm, cool, collected, and be able to be present and listen to what he has to say? And
I want to be calm, cool, and collected.
I would want to. I was thinking you would be the opposite.
just mad all the time.
Just mad.
Yeah. One thing that I really appreciate and respect about you is that you are passionate about the Alaska Native community. And you've been involved, like you said, you mentioned that you work with SCF. And I just think it's one of the things that's really important to make sure that, especially minorities, that youth are involved and have the opportunities to move and to be active. Can you speak to that a little bit? Your passion about the community, and which is part of your community. Like I don't know if people know that.
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about the Alaska Native community. I'm Tsimshian from Metlakatla.
How do you pronounce that?
Tsimshian.
Tsimshian.
So originally our tribe migrated from British Columbia, and so there's like this really unique little island that's on the southeast coast of British Columbia. Like it's probably the furthest part down from the Panhandle. It's 17 miles from Ketchikan. So I grew up there. It's the only reservation in Alaska. And so I mean, I just have I grew up there. It was, it's 90%, Alaska Native. So it's like very near and dear to my heart. I think, and then I moved up here and I had no idea. I moved up here, for basketball.
Yeah.
When I went to work at South Central Foundation, I had no idea like what the Alaska Native community was going to be like here. But, once I kind of set in and got into the community a little bit more, the more it felt, I guess, comfortable and like a home to me. And so it always just kind of felt like I was like serving like my aunts and uncles. And like, it just kind of felt like a family thing.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I always think like if we're having like real discussions, I always think of, kids who are, for me, I think of like kids who are black, and I think like, it's no secret that they're under, the poverty line stereotypically across the board when you look at statistics, which means they don't have the same funding and opportunities to be active.
Sure.
And so I always just encourage parents to make sure that their kids are staying active, whether you're black, white, native. But I just really, for me, I just happen to see people who look like me a lot more often, and then I just happen to notice the statistics. And so I just know it's super important to stay active. I have another question for you.
Sure.
We have an only child in our house, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I feel bad about that.
Brooklyn.
And this is why, because she spent 8 weeks just with like my wife and her mom.
Oh, yeah.
And me. Like that's the only people that she saw. And she was getting super annoyed. And as like parents, it was like kind of tough because you can only be so active, right? And now that it's getting colder outside, it's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
She used to be involved in like team sports, basketball, gymnastics, and so she always had activity throughout the week. But now it's just kind of like, I need help.
Yeah.
What do I do? And I know that there's a lot of other parents who maybe they don't have like only child in their home, but they have children in their home, and they're like, how in the world do I get them to be more active? Like it's easy to sit there on your phones, or it's easy to look at social media, play video games, but activity is a huge thing. It's important. So
Sure. Yeah. And this is a challenge that a lot of parents are facing now, whether you have like one or when you have four of them. And so I guess something that I could think of is, and being able, I could think of three things off the top of my head. So like one of them is, yes, they're stuck with you and Mandy, right? She's stuck with you and Mandy. One way you can kind of get her to, maybe think about being more active in the house is tricking her into thinking that it's fun. So like, so
it's clean. So much fun.
So like making a game. So I do this with like my nieces and my nephews.
Yeah.
So like my sister kind of takes care of the chores part, but we'll just kind of find some tricky way to play tag. And there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can play freeze tag where you can add some squats to be able to like get out. You can play like capture the flag, where there's like, you have them like do certain hops. You can have them do like a lateral step or a shuffle.
Yeah.
You can mix up the different types of movement patterns and, to these very like basic common games, right?
Right.
The other one that I can think of is like a virtual play date.
Virtual play date.
So a virtual play date where you can kind of, if you can get like a couple of her friends, like on like a Zoom call, get them on a screen, and then they can go through like a series of moves together. That's just kind of, that's kind of high level stuff. You kind of have to have access to the technology.
Now, as you're saying that, my daughter does do this thing where she'll get like a couple of friends over and they'll just start dancing. Not over, but they'll be on Zoom or like FaceTime. They'll just start dancing. So I guess that does count as being active.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes I'm staring at her, I'm like, you need to be more active. But yeah.
Let me ask you this though. Could you, I always see you, like we're buddies on our Apple Watches, and I see you closing your rings. Do you, could you like incorporate, could you like make her work out with you, or could you have her work out with you? Yeah.
So one thing that before it got cold, our family, we're just not an outdoor type. Like we don't mess with the cold. That's just not our thing.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get out of that and just kind of suck it up. Like this is the first year where it's like forcing us, like there's not many options out there. But we would go to like the park, and we're a big basketball family, and we try to make 100 shots and do some dribbling and layup stuff, and that was more for my benefit. But
yeah, rebound for me.
Yeah, rebound for me. Play defense. But she would come along and tag along, and then my wife would go on runs and take her with her. But now that it's like it's wintertime, we're trying to figure out like activities, and I'm trying to bite the bullet and actually like get out and do stuff. I just don't know what to do. But yeah, I fully, like you just said, like I'm a pretty active person.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out ways to get her to be active with me.
So in the outdoor space, there's lots of cool stuff you can do. There's biking. It's very easy and accessible. You can get a fat tire bike. They're a little on the spendy side, but you can get used ones.
Can you rent them?
You can rent them. I think you can rent them from, I think the bike shop does rentals, RAI does rentals. There's cross-country skiing, skate skiing.
Yeah.
Both cool ways you can get your heart rate up, and you can, it's pretty fun too, like going down hills, and it's just like a fun new challenge.
Speaking of heart rate, what does your heart rate need to, I know this is kind of random, what does your heart rate need to be when you're actually, does it depend on the person, or does it depend on like the actual number it needs to be at when you're like, okay, yeah, now I'm
now you're actually doing something. Yeah. So, site source. So American College of Sports Medicine recommends, they use the rating of perceived exertion. Mm-hmm. And so it's on a scale from 6 to 20. So when you're at a level 6, you're laying down watching a movie.
Yeah.
When you're at a 20, you're running away from a moose or a bear for your life, right? Mm. The health benefits on that scale, usually they start to see health benefits, decrease of heart disease risk, diabetes, and high blood pressure between the 12 and 13 rate. And so that's the 12 and 13 number. So if you think about the 6 would be like your general population, 60 beats per minute. At the 20, think about that as like your 200 beats per minute. And so the 12 and 13 range is generally around 120 to 130, mm-hmm. where you kind of start to see those initial health benefits.
Yeah.
So usually what that feels like, respiratory wise, or how you feel, is like you're walking, you can talk, but you can't sing.
Right.
Yeah. You feel like you're breathing a little bit, but you could still hold a conversation.
You can talk, but you can't sing.
Right. Yeah. So it's like,
that's a good way to like, you can talk, but you can't sing. Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Or if you can, if you can breathe, and still hold a conversation.
Yeah. Do you do outdoor activities?
I'm going to be fat biking this weekend.
Really? Thanks for the invite, by the way.
You want to go fat biking with me?
No, I don't want to. I'm busy.
Well, you're uninvited. Yeah. No, but yeah, fat biking, cross-country ski, downhill ski, snowboard. I bought some running shoes, and so I want to be able to kind of be competitive with people here in town with 5Ks.
That's something I can get on board with. So maybe you can invite me when you do that.
You want to go running?
Yeah, because I'm trying to, I feel like it's like as I'm getting older, I'm like looking for things that I can do that is that I don't have the opportunity to get hurt. So like I don't want to play basketball as much anymore because I mean I get hurt, I can't work.
We're totally in that same boat right now.
And so I'm like, what can I do that will give me so I can be healthy and be active and running, even though I hate running.
Right.
2 mile. You remember the 12-minute 2 mile?
Yeah.
But like,
we have PTSD from that, man.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell that story? Do you want to tell the 2 mile story?
Playing college basketball, we had to run the preseason, which is a pain. You have to run 2 miles in 12 minutes, right? And I think Biggs or Post had to do it in 12:30. Did you ever beat 12 minutes?
So I kind of got out of it. The best time that I got.
Because you left.
Yeah. So I got out of it, but the best time, the last time I got it in 12:30.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty freaking good.
See, I was able to run a mile. I think I ran a mile in 5:15. But as soon as, like, if you're on a regular track and I run the 4 laps, that's a mile, I'll get that in 5:15. But as soon as I get around to that 6th lap, I feel like an elephant jumps on my back.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that. So I don't even think I touched 12:30 on the 2 mile.
Yeah. So I'm like, so it's hard, the distance part. And so I think that'd be a really fun challenge for you and me to be able to build endurance, because that's just never been a strong point.
Social distancing though, right? We'll be social distance.
No, we'll be connected at the hip.
Are you do you train people via Zoom? Like if
I do. Okay. I have a program called the Elevated Wellness Program, and so it's this. I have a 30-day, a 60-day, and a 90-day program. So 30 days kind of like your jump start. Your 60-day, you'll see some weight loss. You'll get a little bit stronger. And then the 90-day, you'll start to see some real like transformations.
Yeah.
But the Elevated Wellness Program, it's a holistic program, so it addresses all aspects, most aspects of health. So it addresses your physicality. So addresses your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your social, and your emotional, spiritual well-being. Takes a look at that from an assessment, and then basically, you work to build that up throughout either the 30, 60-day or 90-day duration.
If people wanted to figure out how to get a hold of you for that, or wanted to learn more about that program, where do they go?
So they can go to my website, or they can find me on Instagram and send me a message. I have an email and contact. So my website is cbtrainingstudio.com. My email is chris@cbtrainingstudio.com. And then I'm at cbtraining on Instagram if you want to send me a DM.
Nice. Right on. Well, I appreciate it. I think we'll end it here. I think I got enough information from you. I'm tired of listening to you now. No, but seriously, man, thank you for all the information and the tips and the strategies. And thank you for
you got some gold today, man.
That you have. I know. This is gold. This is super gold.
Yeah.
And then the passion that you have for the community, more specifically the Alaska Native community. I think that we all need to figure out where our reach is and where our passion is and just go for it. So appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Lonnie.